Minecraft isn't always easy, so save time and make things better with these 20 tips and tricks that make Minecraft easier starting right now. Whenever you're going around getting mobs for food, either early game or later on, it's kind of a waste of time to go from mob to mob killing them, and then just having these raw materials you have to cook later. What's a much better idea before you get yourself a flame sword is to simply bring around a flint and steel, a really easy to get item, and then just light the mob on fire that you want to kill, and while that mob is on fire, hit it with an axe. The great thing about using this practically free to craft flint and steel is that then when we hit a mob with our sword or with our axe when killing it, the things that it drops are instantly cooked, so we don't have to waste time putting it in a furnace and dealing with that. We can simply light them on fire, let them cook there for a while, and this trick is perfect for literally any farm animal in the entire game, and we don't even have to bother about bringing around smelting materials until much later on. If you're trying to increase the amount of levels you have in Minecraft, but you don't have a great XP farm, or let's say you're more early game, one of the best tricks is to head to the Nether and mine Nether quartz. The reason why is that Nether quartz is incredibly common, but as well as being incredibly common, it also gives you massive amounts of XP. Nether quartz is an item that gives you massive amounts of this XP, so not only can you collect and get yourself a large amount of the quartz material itself, you can also go from level 0 to 30 in a fairly quick amount of time, and if you have some mending tools, this can be a great way of mending them as well. You can also mine random bits of gold ore that happen to be in the Nether, because if you don't mine them with silk touch, you do actually get XP from that. Just be aware of any piglins that are nearby. So next time you're trying to raise the amount of levels that you have, let's say to get to level 30 or to mend a tool, be sure to use the Nether quartz. When people make farms in Minecraft, they'll tend to grow carrots, potatoes, and wheat. And although you definitely can grow these three things, the main reason why most people will grow carrots is to use as a breeding material for pigs. As of course pigs are bred with carrots, so you can right click on both of these with carrots and of course you'll get a baby pig. But it tends to be the best idea to not grow carrots at all inside of Minecraft, and the reason is quite simple. Basically, potatoes work just as well to breed pigs as carrots do. In fact, so do beetroot. And as potatoes tend to be the better food for us, being easier to cook and also getting a lot more out of it. And of course, if you're wondering about golden carrots, because that would be the other use of carrots in Minecraft, well, the best idea if you want to get golden carrots is definitely not to farm them yourself from carrots and then craft them with gold ingots. It's just to trade with the farmer villager, as they have a trade of 3 emeralds for 3 golden carrots. Now, although somewhat early game it can be hard to get them, slime blocks are actually a very useful item to have with you if you're in a more late game world. And the reason why is pretty simple. There are 2 super useful things you can do with them. The first one is you can use them for MLG jumps, so for instance placing a slime block beneath you and putting that just in time so you don't get hurt. Also, as a note, if you crouch when you land on a slime block you will take damage on it, but if you're not crouching then you won't. Even if you're going incredibly quick, as long as you can place it on the side of a block in time just like that, you can still use it to not die. The great thing about the slime blocks is they're able to be instantly broken, and so because of that you can navigate around with them, to basically use them to go up and down, but also to let's say be a scaffolding to go to certain parts of your area. It's literally as easy as holding down left click and cleaning them up basically instantly because they do break so quickly. If you don't have a projectile weapon, it can actually be fairly difficult to fight ghasts. However, something that makes this much easier is a fishing rod. Basically, all you have to do is go to where the ghast is, and then throw your fishing rod line at the ghast, and it goes super far. You can then right click and get it to come in super close to you, hit it at close range with the sword, get that fishing rod again and pull it in close to you, and then hit it yet again with the sword. You can even do this with the fishing rod in your offhand. Again, simply grab that ghast with the fishing rod, pull it in close, and then you can finish it up at close range. It's crazy that just a simple fishing rod gives you the ability to control where the ghast's position is, as you can really easily grab onto it and then hit it. And you can actually use this fishing rod trick to deal with other mobs that try and get farther away from you. Things like skeletons, let's say, you could pull them in closer. Now, a really important thing to think about is the fact that undead mobs are of course just that. They're not really alive or dead, they're undead, and so because of that, harming potions will actually heal them, and healing potions will harm them. But what makes this great is, let's say you're getting low on HP, you could throw down a splash potion of healing and hurt nearby undead mobs, but then actually heal yourself in the process. So let's say right here we're going to throw down a lingering potion of healing, and just let those undead mobs walk into it. They're actually going to get quite hurt by the lingering potion of healing, but we're going to get healed by it. Again, the same by, let's say, using these splash potions of healing right here. All 3 of those zombies are going to get hurt, but we are going to get healed. This can even be a really good thing if you're dealing with zombie villagers, because let's say some of these have great trades and we want to save them, but they've got quite hurt. Simply throw that potion of harming at them, and it'll actually help heal those zombie villagers. It can often be annoying having to get everything together to build a little base in Minecraft if you're, let's say, traveling around. But a really fun trick you can do that saves a lot of time and makes Minecraft easier is to simply bone meal a small red mushroom, and you can basically get yourself a little instant base. Now the best way of doing this tends to be having a hole in the ground with some podzol in it, then just bone meal it like that, and you'll basically have a base built around you. You can simply break the stem in the center, maybe place down a couple blocks around it as needed, then just break a door on one side, and you can place in your bed, your furnace, your crafting table, and whatever other little amenities you want inside of this micro mushroom base. If you bone meal a lot of mushrooms right next to each other, use different blocks to make little passageways in between all the mushrooms. Making houses out of instantly built things like, let's say, these mushrooms can actually work really well. When you're going around a Minecraft world, there will often be these giant oak trees, but there's actually a guaranteed way of always getting giant oak trees if you want to. Basically, instead of just placing down a sapling and bone mealing it, hoping it'll turn into a giant tree, because it likely won't, place down a sapling and place any block you want. This could be a glass block or just a dirt block, and bone meal it. And you'll notice what'll happen is when it does eventually grow, it'll actually grow into a giant oak tree, although it does take a bit longer to grow or will consume more bone meal. So this is generally best to set these up, let them sit there for a while, and then just come back later. But by just placing down a singular block, you can get yourself a much larger tree. However, sometimes too what you'll get is what's known as a balloon oak. So that's one of these, where the leaves are completely circular in this sort of shape. But still, between balloon oaks and giant oaks versus almost always getting the small oak trees, this is definitely the best way of getting tons and tons of the giant oak trees if you want them. Without adding any enchantments to the fishing rod, there are 2 main ways that you can make fishing a lot more efficient. The first one is, if it is raining in your Minecraft world, the amount of time it takes to get a fish is much quicker. I think this has to do with the fact that in real life, if it's raining, the surface of the water is basically always being moved around, and so it's harder for the fish to see that there is someone there. But whatever the reason is, it's great because then you can get this super fast fishing rate. However, there's one other great way that you can get yourself more out of your fishing. So for instance, right here we've only got fish out of this fishing area. That's because fundamentally it's not a good place to fish out of. What you want to do is fish in an area that is a 5x5x2 of unobstructed water, although lily pads don't count. We now have the chance for treasure loot, and so by fishing in an area that's eligible for treasure loot, as well as also fishing when it's raining, you can really simply get a lot more out of your fishing rod. If you're just starting out a Minecraft world and are mining for diamonds, oftentimes the best idea is to not make a strip mine. Well, you sort of want to make a strip mine, but actually a crawl mine. So this only works in Java Edition, unfortunately, but it's fairly efficient. Basically, every block we're mining here, we're exposing an average of 4 new blocks, which is definitely okay, but it's not as good as it could be. You see, if we mine a block here and place down a trapdoor, flipping it up so we go crawling, we can actually do what's known as a crawl mine. For every block we mine out, we're actually exposing 5 different new blocks. And so because of that, and also the fact that an iron pickaxe mines out blocks almost at the exact same speed as you move, it really makes it perfect. The reason why I do say early game though is, of course, if you have a really efficient pickaxe, it's going to be mining way too far in front of where you're crawl mining, and so because of that, just the speed difference will make it be much less efficient. But this way you lose a lot less durability and get a lot more out of it. So next time you're mining for diamonds inside of Minecraft, try out crawl mining. One of the hardest things in Minecraft is when you die and you lose all your items. And the worst part of that is sometimes you're in an area where you very realistically could have gotten your items back. You just didn't actually know where they were because let's say you died in a cave or maybe some weird remote part of a different dimension. Thankfully, Minecraft has added a solution to this. You can craft a recovery compass. This is made with 8 echo shards and a standard compass. The recovery compass points to the last place you died. So let's say we somehow fell from a great height right here and died, around 100, and right at spawn we have a recovery compass handy, and you can see it's going to point right towards the place where we died. So here are items on the ground right here, and now until we die again, these recovery compasses are always going to point towards these exact coordinates. And you could even find the exact location we died by lining it up. It looks like apparently we died on this exact block. And because of the strange way that silverfish work inside of Minecraft, if you hit one of them, even more silverfish egg blocks can actually hatch, making there be a horrible downward spiral of there basically being more and more silverfish, because when you hurt them, any nearby blocks that happen to be those silverfish egg blocks will break, converting into more silverfish that will try and hunt and kill you. And as you can see right here, this can definitely get really out of control with absolutely crazy amounts of silverfish that'll then head towards the player. The trick to deal with this is to basically not hit silverfish. What you want to do so this doesn't turn into a crazy downward spiral is to basically light the silverfish on fire. That way they don't attribute them getting hurt to you, and because of this, you can then just let them die by burning to death, and eventually once they've all burnt, then no more of them are going to summon into the game. If you're trying to deal with some cobwebs inside of your Minecraft world, and so let's say you bring a sword with you and you slowly start breaking through them, this can kind of be slow. A really great trick that many people don't know about is the fact that a water bucket will actually instantly destroy any cobwebs in its path. So let's say in a scenario like this, where you don't want to break these with shears to get the actual cobweb item, all you have to do to get a bunch of them is to simply place down buckets of water and then pick up that bucket of water again. As you can see here, it'll go through and it'll break any of the cobwebs that are in the way. And then this entire area is now cleared from the spider webs. And although of course cobwebs are sort of a limited item, if you're in a dangerous situation with, let's say, tons of spiders trying to attack you, this can definitely be one of the best solutions, is to simply use a water bucket, as it'll not only push the spiders away, but it'll also make all those cobwebs disappear into string. Now you may be aware of the fact that if you have a mob head on, the distance that mobs can detect you at is made less. So for instance, if we wear this creeper head and we walk towards this creeper, we can actually get incredibly close to it before it notices that we're there. And this works with other things too, like let's say using a skeleton skull or a zombie head, but something you may not know is the fact that if you're crouching, that distance is made much less. So the creeper's going to notice us right here at this distance if we have its head on, which is still pretty close. But if we crouch while walking towards the creeper this time, you'll notice we can get insanely close to that creeper before it notices that we're there. And it's literally so effective, it only stops working when you're a couple blocks away. And I guess the idea would be if you're crouching, also known as sneaking, you're sort of sneaking around the creeper, and so you can get literally like 4 or 5 blocks away from it before it then actually notices you and tries going towards you. Although a lot of people will have pet dogs in Minecraft, not a lot of people will actually use them to their full potential. What I would recommend doing is getting a very large amount of wolves, then going around to each one of the wolves and right-clicking on them once with a piece of rotten flesh. The reason why is it'll make them all enter breeding mode, or it'll heal them if they're hurt. And basically, by just continually breeding your dogs over and over again whenever you can eventually make yourself a massive dog army. And this actually works super well, because if you punch literally any single animal in the entire game, even let's say a nether wolf, or maybe a pig, or whatever else you want to, then all of your dogs will go after it. And also if any mobs attack you, your dogs will also naturally come to defend. So let's say right here this spider comes up to us and hits us once, now all of our dogs will come and attack it. Although the dogs will get somewhat hurt, that's a reason to get an absolutely massive dog army. If you're going through the nether and you collect yourself a bit of the crimson and warped nylium, what you can actually do to get your limited number of nylium into an unlimited number of nylium is to bone meal it. You may be wondering how exactly does that work, because let's say if we place some netherrack next to nylium, it's not going to naturally spread to it, because if it did, it would literally have the entire nether be eventually covered in the nylium. Well, if we get out our bone meal and right click on top of the actual nylium, you'll see what happens is we just have some of the vegetation pop up, so that doesn't do what we want it to at all. However, what you can do is if you bone meal any block that's directly next to the nylium, it'll convert from netherrack into nylium. Or if we go over here, we can bone meal all these netherrack and turn them into the Nylium. If it's too far away from either type, it just won't do anything, but if you're within 1 block of the Nylium, you can spread that really simply, basically with the conversion being 1 piece of bone meal into 1 piece of Nylium. Here's a great tip if you're playing on a multiplayer server, like let's say my server play.icraftmc.com, which has an awesome SMP server on it. If you want to private message someone on a server, there's actually 4 ways. A lot of people will type /whisper, and the name of the person. Another thing you can do as well is type /msg, and then their name. Or you could even type /tell their name, and then type out your message from that point onwards. But instead of wasting all that time typing that out, what's much better to do is to simply type /w, and the name of the player, and whatever your message is. And from that point on, it's super easy, because you literally just have to type /r, and your message, so the next time you're playing on a multiplayer server, forget /whisper, and forget /message, and forget /tell, /w to start a new conversation, and /r in the name of the message to continue it is definitely the quickest and best way of doing that in any multiplayer scenario. If you're in the need for a ton of blocks really quickly and you don't care too much about what the type of block is, this is definitely the very best trick to get them. Just make a small enclosure like this with blocks on every side and 1 block sticking out there, and get 2 snow and a carved pumpkin. Place down the 2 snow blocks and end off with the carved pumpkin, and go down here and just hold down left click, breaking all the snow blocks there. I would suggest using these stone shovels, as they're basically free to get and you can get a huge amount of them. Or if you have a mending netherite or diamond shovel, that can work super well also. And we'll just hold down our left click here for a little while, letting us go through all the durability that is currently on our tools. And once we work through some of those, you'll notice our inventory is basically completely full with the snowballs, and we can just shift click here to get tons of these and turn them into as many blocks as we want. And now from literally like 30 seconds, we have a stack and a half of snow blocks here. Speaking of the fastest ways to get blocks, what you absolutely want to do if you want to get wood the fastest is to get about a stack of spruce saplings, and to place down one of those saplings and bone meal it. Then mine back to that and place down another 4 saplings and bone meal that till it grows. Place down it again and bone meal those, and place it one more time and bone meal that. Then 1 layer back from that, place down another one and bone meal that. Place down another one and bone meal it like that. And more or less the idea here is that we're trying to make a 4x4 of these giant trees. It's a huge supply of wood, because every single one of these giant spruce trees will give you well over a stack of spruce logs on average, and so by planting an insane amount of these next to each other, you could literally get an entire shulker box full of logs all in one giant tree. And if you have the time to mine it, this is 100% the easiest way of getting this in the entire game. Let's say if you have some copper blocks that are fairly spaced out from each other, something you'll notice, and of course my random tick speed is really high so we can see this happen quickly, these spaced out copper blocks are oxidizing almost instantly, but the ones that are all together literally haven't oxidized one stage on any of these blocks, except for I guess this one now. So the question would be, what is the best way of having copper blocks be spaced out for them to oxidize? And the answer is 4 blocks apart. So we'll place down one of these, then count 4 blocks this way, because basically if these are 4 blocks apart, the penalty for the copper blocks being next to each other, slowing down the oxidation, isn't there at all. And as another really important thing to be aware of, if you take your copper blocks and put them in a stone cutter, turning them into cut copper blocks, you'll actually get 4 times the amount of copper per copper block. I hope you enjoyed these 20 tricks that make Minecraft easier. Be sure to comment down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more videos like this if you found that these tricks truly did make Minecraft easier. I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day. Goodbye.